Due to the economic crisis, organizations and companies are desperately seeking ways to reduce operation costs in order to be able to keep their businesses afloat during the recession. IT support organizations tend to be targeted because they're considered to be a non-revenue making department. They're looked at as a money consumption department. When considering ways to reduce costs, companies take into consideration various alternatives to replacing IT support with outside companies, especially overseas. Why? Because overseas companies tend to have cheaper labor costs. And this way, U.S. companies are able to save money in benefits and salaries. When companies look into different alternatives to replace their IT support in order to be able to reduce operation costs, they look into co-sourcing models. What is a co-sourcing model? A co-sourcing model is when a whole IT department can be replaced with an outside contractor, specifically overseas, but they leave internal management within the department. Unlike outsourcing, which they leave the team, probably replace a couple of the team within a contractor that comes and works in collaboration with the team. What IT management sometimes doesn't fails to realize is the co-sourcing model actually cost effective? At first glance, it might be, because yes, you save in salaries and benefits, but in the long run, they end up spending more because you lose quality. There are different factors as to why a co-sourcing model can maybe create a negative impact. One of the factors is cultural barrier and language barrier. A lot of these companies are overseas, which are mainly in China, India, and the Philippines. Now, because of the language barrier, that can interfere with the type of service being provided to the end user, because the end user can rarely understand, or those local teams that are remaining and the resources that are remaining have difficulty understanding each other. Therefore, communication is hindered between teams, which ends up then resulting into a low level of service. Another factor can be the cultural barrier. A lot of times, these companies that come from other countries, they have different holiday schedules. Availability becomes difficult for them for the hours of schedule of business hours on the U.S. And so that also can create an impact in the service level to the end user and business. It also affects business operations. A lot of management within the IT world that are in these models then encounter a lot of challenges, especially when they're trying to manage availability. A lot of these IT teams need to be available 24/7, and when you have a team that is in another country, that maybe because they have a specific holiday where there is not going to be any public transportation, and you have everybody that depends over there on public transportation, they have no way to get to work, you're left over here then without any type of support. And then management has to try to resort and find who within the organization that has the key knowledge and skills needed to be able to continue to support the business would be available on short notice. So, in conclusion, is the co-sourcing model actually a good fit for a U.S. company? I would say no, because companies start facing these challenges when resorting to a co-sourced IT support environment. They end up having to invest more money in bringing back then internal resources that have the skills and the knowledge in order to be able to rebuild their internal support. And also, according to Broadbent and Wheel, creating an appropriate infrastructure service involves decisions based on a sound understanding of where a firm is going rather than where it has been. So therefore, you need to be able to focus on creating a team and an environment that is in line with your business strategy, when a lot of times these outside companies, they do not, they have their own strategy. So not considering any of these points can affect greatly the business operations of a company, which then creates a negative impact affecting the cost, affecting customer service levels, and even the culture in the workplace.